I'm excited about today's show because we're doing something different. I got an Instagram message from Stella here, and Stella was like, man, love your guys' podcast. It's really helped me. And I was like, let's bring her on the show.
My name's Stella. I'm 17 years old. Even though right now my agency is small, I act like I am already like a 20K per month, 100K per month agency. I actually had to let someone go, a video editor, last week.
You've already fired somebody at 17?
The bottom line of business, it's very simple. You'll see that your business will work in cycles where at one point your bottleneck's going to be marketing, and then it'll be sales, and then it'll be operations, and so then you have to fix that, and then it's going to go to the video editing, and then it's going to repeat in a cycle.
Here's the game. It doesn't ever end. It doesn't matter how big you get.
You are not just an incredible storyteller, you're incredible at making stories, and there's a very big difference there. And welcome back to another episode of the 8-Figure Agency Show, where a successful entrepreneur and a soon-to-be successful entrepreneur help you build an 8-figure agency by documenting our successes and failures. Guys, I have no idea what episode number this is. This is a special edition of an episode, and with that in mind, I'm going to pass the mic over to Gary, who's going to tell you guys to go like, comment, subscribe, follow us everywhere. And Gary, how you doing?
Yes. You better go leave a comment, please. We have thousands of listeners, and we have like a handful of comments, and I think 2 of them are from Derek's grandma. So please, please, please go leave us a review. It takes like 5 seconds, and I really appreciate it. But I'm excited about today's show because we're doing something different, and I don't know how that's going to go, but I think it's going to go well. I'll tell a quick story. I got an Instagram message from Stella here, and Stella was like, man, love your guys' podcast. It's really helped me. Here's where I'm at in my journey. Here's how it helped me. And I was like, let's bring her on the show. And she agreed to do it. And so she was gracious enough to come on today. Stella, I would love for you to just quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what kind of agency owner you are and what you're doing in the marketing world.
Absolutely. Hey guys, I'm Stella. Absolutely stoked to be on the show. When Derek asked me if I wanted to be on the podcast, absolutely stoked, honestly. Definitely want to start my own podcast in the future, so I can't wait to look back on this and be like, oh my gosh, I said that and I'm doing it now. Anyway, so my name's Stella. I'm 17 years old. I'm from New Zealand, and currently I have an agency called Flowlync, and we work with agency owners and online coaches to take their long form content and cut it into short form content, and basically helps them pack out their calendar, drives organic traffic to their channels, and helps them grow their personal brand and share their message to the world, provide value. So yeah, it's very similar to Derek, but obviously we've got that different niche there. So Derek's got his podcasters, and I've got my agency owners and kind of business owners and entrepreneurs. And yeah, so when I found the podcast, I was honestly just on YouTube, kind of just roaming around here, found Gary, then found Derek, and I listened to Derek's podcast, and I was like, hold on a second, this guy is doing something very similar, and I'm like, what the heck? Obviously my first reaction was a bit of anger, a bit of because as soon as you find someone doing the same thing as you, you're getting a bit oh no, you get that kind of feeling, right? But then I was watching the podcast, I was like, wow, I'm getting so much value, and I see that the problems that I'm going through is so similar to what Derek was going through, and the advice, Gary, that you were giving Derek, my mind was blown. I was like,
that's so awesome.
What?
Yeah, that's why we created the show, because Derek was like, I can help you frame content, Gary, in a way that'll be more helpful to people because of where I'm at in my journey. And so that's huge. It makes me so happy that there was value there. Could you tell us a little bit, how big is your agency? How many clients you have? And it's, first of all, whatever you're doing, any numbers is super impressive. When I was 17 years old, I was not working. I was in high school. And so you and Derek blow my mind. I always tell Derek's like, man, I'm trying to grow. I'm like, you are so far ahead of me. He's literally 7 years ahead of me. So I know you guys are going to crush it, but I would love to know how many clients you have, how much revenue you have, and kind of where you're at as an agency.
Absolutely. So I feel like this kind of whole journey, I'll kind of start a little bit further back than when I started my agency, just really briefly. So kind of when I was 15, 16, I really got into self-improvement. I read a lot of those types of books, really into really changing my mindset, and I really needed that shift, and I've had huge personal growth and, mindset and gym and all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of touch the surface of entrepreneurship. I tried to start my own clothing brand. You do those kind of things and you learn these lessons like, okay, why did that not work? Oh no, am I doing the wrong thing? I also have been doing video editing since I was 9 years old, so that was pretty crazy. I've been really into filmmaking at school. A lot of people at my school know me for that, my filmmaking stuff. And so anyway, kind of wanted to, at the start of January, I was like, look, I really want to be an entrepreneur. That's who I'm meant to be. Like, I kind of went from, I created Minecraft YouTube videos since I was 9 years old. So it started from that to when I was 9 years old, creating YouTube content. I was so passionate about speaking on camera, making videos. And then it started January, I started my own TikTok and I was doing like self-improvement, mindset, and I was loving it. Like, I got to about 10 to 11K on TikTok and that blew my mind. And I think one of my videos went viral. It got like 1 or 2 million views, and that blew my mind. And that's something, as a Minecraft YouTuber 9 years old, when I was getting 2 views and 1 like on my Minecraft Let's Plays, that was like, holy, like it was crazy. So it's kind of this journey. And then I really got into, growing a TikTok account, and, I'm combining my editing, my filmmaking, my passion for TikTok and short form content. And that's kind of, it's a bit more of a longer story about how I came up with Flowlync, but that's kind of, how the background of me and how that kind of came about and how I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And when I found entrepreneurship and this whole thing, it just felt so right. Like, it felt like I was born to be an entrepreneur. It sounds really weird. I feel like everyone says that, all entrepreneurs say that.
Yep.
But I just felt I'm so passionate, and even though right now my agency is small, I act like I am already like a 20K per month, 100K per month agency.
That's awesome. Because
I need to. I already feel like inside, even though I have 2 clients right now, I'm acting like I have 10 clients, because that's the only way to get there. I need to act like how'd you
get your first client?
Absolutely. So, okay, so I actually was scrolling on TikTok and I saw this guy, and his name was Coach Alex, and he also has a business partner, and his name's Trevor. And anyway, I saw he was doing like lead generation, and he was telling people how to monetize their TikTok following. Me with 10K on TikTok, I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity to monetize and create a business around what I love. So I was like, awesome. I jumped on a free call with them, and I absolutely loved what they were going to do. I was going to jump on board with them, but unfortunately, due to currency conversions, it was just too high of a price point for me, also as a 17-year-old. But it was incredible, and I enjoyed their message and what they were doing. Anyway, because obviously it was a free strategy session, I was kind of stuck between 2 offers. Do I create an online coaching kind of thing or a business around my TikTok, or do I start this agency? And I had this idea of cutting long form into short form. It kind of just started like that. And in the kind of call, that I was like, okay, I can go down these 2 things. And I kind of went, okay, I'm gonna do the long form. And then I think it was Trevor. He was like, actually, we could use this. We could use this in our business. This would be incredible.
Got it.
So
he went from selling you and you sold him. That is amazing.
That's awesome. That's how it goes right there. That's how you do it.
So it was actually incredible. I actually got a bit lucky in a way. So we jumped on another call, and I was like, my first ever sales call, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what my offer is. And he's like, okay, how many videos are you going to do for us? I'm like, I don't know. No, I didn't say that, but I was like, 21 a week. And so anyway, I was just kind of making things up on the spot here. And then anyway, after the call, he was like, was that your first sales call? That was awesome. I was like, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I think the really important part here is like so many entrepreneurs, they get stuck and they don't move forward. Yep. And the moving forward is the key part, because that's how you actually learn. So let's say you said 21 videos and then you get in and doing it and you're like, okay, that's too many. I need to do like 5 for that. But you would have never known that if you just didn't put your neck out there and just give it a run. So kudos to you for doing that. That's amazing. And I'm really curious, like, where are you kind of stuck in your business right now? Are you kind of figured it out on the sales side, or are you trying to build out your operations right now? Where are you having the most friction right now in your business?
That's a beautiful question. And I've got a few questions around that, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on it. So at the moment, as I said, I've got 2 clients, and it feels weird to say that because I feel like I have 10 clients because of the way how I work every day. Like I'm literally, that is the only thing I do. I go to the gym, come back, work on this agency, learn, grow. Like I'm
you don't go to school?
Super passionate. Oh, okay. So right now I was in school holidays for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I'm trying to finish school as soon as possible right now. So I'm trying to get that. And then obviously I had school in there, but at the moment anyway, so I'm in school holidays. So just been doing that, and it's pretty busy with school at the same time. So I'm trying to spend full time on the agency because that's what I'm super passionate about. But
and how much money are you making from the clients, like roughly?
Yeah, so I think this month my cash collected was like 4.5 USD.
That's awesome.
USD.
That's amazing.
That's so awesome.
I gotta stop right there because I gotta mention a couple things. So when you first reached out to me and we got on a call, you blew me away because I mean I don't meet a lot of people that are 17 doing what you do that can say I'm a senior in high school. I run an international agency that's making $4.5K US per month. Like that is incredible. And it really is. And to add on to it, with like the way you were describing that sales call, right? Most people never get there. And not only did you get there, you did exactly what 99% of entrepreneurs that I know and what I did myself is you made it up. You said yes. I mean, Gary told me about this the other day and we spoke about it on a past episode. Like the answer is always yes. And then you just figure it out. Like there's always a solution. But like when someone's there, it's like, hey, you don't have a client. They're like, I'm going to pay you $1,000 a month. And they're like, what can I get for this? You make it up and you make it work and you figure it out. And that's how you innovate. That's how you create solutions. So yeah, like really, really impressed. Great work.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And absolutely, that's like my life motto. Like when I find something that I'm obsessed with and I'm like really passionate about, and that was me at the start of the year, like entrepreneurship, that's me. I'm going to find it. I want to have financial freedom. I want to add value to the world and make an impact. And I'm so excited. This is only really the beginning. Like I absolutely can't wait to, grow my own personal brand and do so many amazing things. So yeah, really, it's so beautiful. This coming on here now and just kind of making this statement almost. But I was going to say, like, when I get obsessed with something and I put my mind to it, like it goes crazy. Like I get obsessed about it. I think about it all the time. And so the reason I feel like the way, and I think this will be really helpful for a lot of listeners out there and people that struggle to kind of take action, it's kind of just like opportunities surround you. Every day, all the time. How am I on this podcast right now? I literally just sent a message to Derek and said, I love this podcast. It's sharing value to me. It was free. It took me 1 minute of my day, and it was just a quick little nugget of value that may have made your day for one minute. And that, just seeking opportunities like that is how you do things. Because how I started this agency and how I will continue to grow is that I am always looking for opportunities. How I got my first 2 clients, which is, Alex and Trevor, I just got on that free sales call. I was just curious. I just asked questions. I just did a lot of things until it finally hit, right? And it's just taking those opportunities. And people, if you sit here and do nothing and you say, well, no, opportunities don't surround me. Well, yeah, because you're not looking for them. You're not seeking them. You're not going out and you're not doing stuff. You just got to push the
This is true in every aspect of life too. Like if you go out and play sports and you don't shoot any shots, guess how many buckets you're going to make, right? Like you don't,
exactly.
You're going to get nothing. And so you're 100% right. The world is absolutely full. There could be 1 million Stellas all doing 10x of what Stella's doing right now, and we wouldn't even have one little piece of the pie of all the opportunities out there. So I love that. Now, right now, like in your business, where are you getting that friction? Where's that friction point right now for you?
Absolutely. So I'll tell a little backstory and it'll kind of lead up to this. I think it was last Sunday night, basically I got 4 hours of sleep because I was onboarding a couple clients at once. And what happened is I didn't get my videos on time, and I'm like, whoa, I'm not going to, if the videos aren't getting on time, the client's not going to have any videos. That's going to look bad on me, Stella, and the agency. And I obviously don't want that to happen and get that bad reputation. So I need to make sure we get these videos out. Anyway, I think kind of where I'm struggling right now is setting up my business so that it can scale, and so that if Stella goes on holiday, does the agency still run? Because at the moment, in the book E-Myth Revisited, I don't know if you've read that book or not.
It's amazing.
I read that book, absolutely changed my world. And it's like, if Stella goes on holiday right now, the business is non-existent. So for me, I kind of feel like I already know the answer, but I want to hear your thoughts, Gary, some more specific advice around how I can systemize my business a lot more. And I think that comes down to project management. And at the moment, I've been looking at potentially buying a course for ClickUp and really, getting around that and building out my systems in there and getting more automated workflows and SOPs and accountability for my team members, because that's something that I really struggled with. And when I heard you guys talk about accountability and teammates on your podcast, it blew my mind and actually helped me. I actually had to let someone go, a video editor, last week.
You've already fired somebody at 17?
I've already fired somebody. I would love to tell that story. I already fired somebody.
So we're going to do that next. So Derek, I want Derek to tackle this because he's actually in the middle of a lot of this.
This is so, I mean, I don't know about you, Gary, but like I'm sitting here, I haven't stopped smiling. I'm so happy to hear all this because, I mean, the world's kind of aligned for us here. Like, this is everything I ever wanted out of this show, is to help people exactly like you do exactly these things. And to hear how you're speaking, again, I'm 19. I never use age as a factor in anything, right? Ever, especially in business.
Same.
But you are crushing it, and I am blown away. Because even myself at 17, I was not doing anything like you're doing, on the level you're doing it. And it's blowing me away. But, so we literally, Gary and I just filmed an episode 2 days ago on Monday. And we were discussing this exact thing because it's exactly the same thing for me. I'm just at a little bit of a different level because I have, I believe, 7 going on 8 or 9 team members over the next couple of weeks. And if I step away for more than probably 24 to 48 hours, the business will stop because no one's going to be there to communicate to clients. Stuff's not going to get through. Editors are going to have nobody to turn to. And being that we work in really similar, kind of models, just a little bit different niches, this is going to really apply to you. You're going to hear this in the episode, but basically Gary said to me, what you have to do is you have to write out an org chart. So take out a piece of paper, write out an org chart, literally with every single department in your business, right? So it starts with you, the CEO at the top, and then you have, in our case, it really will apply to you, but like video editors, right? The marketing, the sales, the operations, right? And then within it, put your name next to every single part that you're running right now. And for you, like Gary told me, I'm literally regurgitating what he told me, so this is a little surreal for me, but your name is going to be next to basically everything. And so he explained to me that at my level, what I need to do is figure out what systems need to be in place in each of those departments to accomplish the goal here, which is if I was to step away, they have systems and checklists to turn to. Now, the only thing is, you and I are in drastically different spots right now. For you, it probably wouldn't make sense to go hire a project manager who's going to be probably a little bit more than half of your grossly monthly income. So you really right now have to do it yourself if that's what you really want to do. But
it depends too, because it depends. With Stella, I'm assuming you live at home, like with your parents.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Derek. Like, she can go do it, right, and move really slow and like learn it, and like she probably would like that, and I think there's an element of that you would enjoy. But your other option is to go spend $1,000 on a project manager, get them to come in, build those for you, and move away faster, right? And so I think it just depends on where you're at in that world. What do you think of that, Stella? Do you think dropping that kind of money right now, a quarter of your revenue or half of your revenue, to bring somebody in like that is worth it? Or do you think going through and doing it yourself would be a better choice?
I think I really love what you said there about putting your name next to everything. And in the book E-Myth Revisited, which I believe that's from,
where I got it from. Yeah.
I actually have done that thing already. I've actually got a lucid chart and I've written down all my positions, and I actually have my name next to all of them. And kind of where I'm at right now is actually Stella is all of these things, and she needs to build the systems and the SOPs so that she can move up and delegate that to someone else. And so that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to at the moment, I think for me, it's actually just having that patience to go, look, Stella, it's okay. You don't need that project manager right now, that $1,000 or whatever you said. And I absolutely agree with you, because I don't need the money. I don't need at the moment right now, I'm not really focused on profit or any of this kind of stuff. It's really just growing the business. And I remember talking to Derek about this and thinking, you're really having to switch your mindset from money and all of that kind of stuff. And it's hard. I'm 17, right? Making 4.5. Of course I want to go and spend all of that, but it's really that mindset shift of, actually, I was looking at my profits and my cash collected, and I was like, okay, actually, can I buy a course with this? What can I go and do with this to actually reinvest in the business? But anyway, as just kind of looping back to what you said, I agree with you. I don't think at the moment that is a thing in terms of, I don't think that that's worth it, no. But further down the line, when I get to Derek's point, I have 10 clients, then yes, that project manager is really, really important. And so at the moment for me, it is just about building those systems. And kind of, if I pop in a question here, if that's all good, I think,
I'm pretty sure like we're gonna have you just host a show every week from now on.
Yeah,
like,
this is you're
amazing.
Crushing it,
Yeah.
like really crushing
Go
it.
ahead. You ask away.
All right. You guys are funny.
I'm being.
All right.
I think we're being serious, Stella. You're like knocking it out of the park.
Makes my life easier.
Oh, good. I love it. So I think what's really funny is I've got like a list of questions here. And on one of them, very much relates to this. It says, I think we kind of already answered this, and it's like, at what point do you need a manager, and what does that hierarchy look like? So, for example, how many clients do you think would be appropriate for Stella to get in a manager to help her do this? And kind of what does that hierarchy look like in terms of what does the manager do? What's their day-to-day tasks?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first, I built a really flat org chart. We've actually covered this on one of the shows. And so a flat org chart is where you're the CEO and everybody reports to you, right? And I think this is where Derek's at right now as a company, and that's normal. And so a manager actually doesn't come in until you actually have departments to manage, because you're not going to bring in another CEO to manage everybody, right? So you actually have to start building out departments. And what will happen is you will, I'll just use my company as an example. We built out a whole web department because we had to build tons of websites, and it was a lot of work. It was really heavy. And so we actually had to hire multiple web developers. Well, I couldn't have this flat org chart where I was managing all these people plus managing 4 web editors on top of that. Does that make sense? So then I had to put someone to manage the web department. And so that's how you know, that's for, at least for me, that's how I knew, like, okay, I need a manager to actually over this department, because I just don't have the bandwidth or the technical know-how to support this department. So that's where I started to have opportunities for people to manage on that side. So I don't think it's a number of clients thing. I think it's a function of the work and the amount of labor capital that you need in each department. And then that's when you start bringing in managers. Now, there's things above managers, and we're not going to go into that today, but managers is going to be your first step. And I what do you think about that, Stella? When you get that, do you have any other questions on that?
Yeah, I think that was really good. If you can kind of touch on essentially kind of like their day-to-day tasks, because I'll just tell you in my mind what I think a manager is. I think a manager is checking up on those lower, the technicians who are doing it. So for example, in me and Derek's case, that would be the video editors, ensuring that they hit the deadlines, ensuring that they're doing okay, approving videos, and ensuring that they're hitting those checklists and just kind of checking up on them. Yeah. I do remember in the agency, one of the podcasts, I think you did talk about the difference between like a systems manager and a people manager. Maybe you could define that difference a little bit better, and then also a little bit more of like the day-to-day tasks of kind of a manager. Yeah,
definitely. So the manager's job is, for me, this is how I do it, is that I want this manager to, number one, your team's health is the most important thing. So I want to have a clear way to measure how your team's doing and how they're feeling. That's really, really important to me. Now, not all agency owners think that way. That's how I do it, though. And that's the thing I put as the number one priority, is how is your team feeling? So are you managing them emotionally? Are you managing them? Are they having trouble in their personal life? Are you supporting them through that? And do you have the capability to do that? That's really important too. The next thing under that is, what does winning look like for your department? And what does winning look like for the individuals in your department? And the manager should be able to answer that. Now, not all managers are going to be able to come in and build the system for that. So you, Stella, have to build that system to bring that manager in. And so they're going to have a way to know what winning looks like. And video editing's tricky, and same with building a website, because there's a lot of, it's subjective, right? A beautiful video and a beautiful website is very subjective. So you can't say, okay, your KPIs make killer videos. No, that's not very helpful, right? There has to be a framework that you build for them to be able to perform inside of that, and know that they're still, because there's a time function and there's a quality function. So it's like, yes, I need the videos fast, but who cares if you get a fast video and it's really ugly and doesn't work, right? But also, I can't have the best video in the world and it takes you 3 months to edit it either. So you need to really hone in those KPIs to where this is what winning looks like for this individual.
Yeah, and Stella, I'm going to give you some really tactical advice here because this is exactly the same thing that I'm going through, just on a little bit of a different level. And if I remember correctly, the first time you and I spoke, I kind of gave you this framework. This was at the same time that, Gary was pushing me to make my company why really clear and really helped me reestablish my framework of like, how do I make sure that I don't run a company that's selling a commodity where I compete on price? And so my thing is we're storytellers, right? And I believe I told you, in your specific niche, you're not telling stories, you're making stories, right? And that was kind of what I was explaining to you, because you're not necessarily going through and finding the best stories in a long form episode. You're helping your clients make the stories from scratch, which gives you more control. The beauty of the position that you're in, and you won't be facing a similar problem that I am because of the nature of your structure, you can put somebody in place with a very clear system to deem what makes a successful video in your case, because you're making that video, right? Because like you're helping them get it from scratch. They film a video and I can clip rather than in my case where it's really hard to pick the right stories. It's either you could do it or you can't, right? So my recommendation to you, and I would love Gary's insight on this as well, is I would be personally hesitant to put somebody in that position too early before I know exactly what it takes to run that position successfully. And to Gary's point, it has to do with those KPIs.
Yeah, it
right?
has to, you haven't built the system yet. So that's the org chart. You built the org chart. Now you build the system. Now you know what winning looks like. Now, Stella, where you'll probably struggle is, or no, where I think for sure you'll struggle, and every entrepreneur struggles with this. When you're good at the thing, right? So in this instance, video editing, you're going to go and tell somebody else, be good at the thing. And you're going to be like, here's the system, and they're not going to be able to execute on that system because you're leaving out a lot of what you think is common sense, but it's not common sense. And the E-Myth Revisited is the best part of that. That best part of that book is they really go into that. Like, baking the pie is one thing, but then it's all the steps in baking the pie that's really hard for everybody, like greeting the guest and those kind of things. Like, if you don't spell all that out, then you're going to lose. That's why the system up front is so important. The system is actually what supports the growth. And now where you can win, where you can get easy W's is, I don't know if have you ever read the book Who Not How?
No, I haven't. Amazing
book. And so basically the principle is this. If you want to launch, he uses this illustration. If you want to launch a podcast, then just hire somebody who already has built podcasts before, and they'll be able to do it in a day or two for you. Or you can try to figure it out on your own, how to get the camera, and it might take you months to figure it out, right? So that's the basic premise of it. But here's the thing inside of a business, as you do this, you can go hire an amazing video editor, and they're probably going to cost, $10,000 a month, right? And you don't need a system. They are the system. But that's not scalable either. And the other thing is, it's really hard to build a system around that person because they're even more skilled than you are at the thing, right? They're even a better pie baker than you. So then now it's tricky to build that system around them. You can do it. So the system is really where everything's at. And then what I've always done is I go back and I go, okay, this person failed. What in my system is allowing this individual to fail? And if I can build a foolproof system around this individual that maybe doesn't have that skill set all the way up yet and still get the end product, then now I have a higher likelihood of success overall.
That was awesome. And I think where my next thought goes is, you talk about having those systems in place for that manager to come into and, laying out exactly what's in your head that you think is common sense. And that's kind of intuitive to you and that you've built over the years, your skills and your brain and your thoughts. What is the most effective way? What is something? Is it an SOP? Is it, I don't know what it is, to transfer all of this into the other person to ensure you get that over in the best way? I don't know. Yeah.
If that was possible, believe me, I personally would have done it already. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that is not possible because there can't be anybody else like you. They can be like 60, 70% of you. But for me, from my experience, that's been one of my biggest struggles, and I haven't found a way to do it yet. Gary, if you know a way, please do tell.
What will happen is that you'll grow, and you'll make a lot more money, and it's going to happen. And when you get a lot more money, you'll be able to pay people $10,000, $15,000 a month, and they will be awesome at this one niche thing inside of your company, and they'll blow you away. But for the time being, when you're not at that level yet to be able to afford those kind of salaries, what you have to do is you have to go through the process and you have to document every single step. Now, here's the thing with me. I always look at everything, and this is my strength, but also my weakness, and I go, this is easy. Every part of the process, I'm just like, this is so easy, guys. It's just like this. Look, I just do this and this and this. Does this make sense? And everybody's like, okay, yeah. And it's really this complex thing that I made easy, that I tricked myself into making it easy, right? So then they fail. But really it was me that failed because I just made this complex thing sound like an easy thing that I in my brain made easy. This is where outside people really help. So a lot of times one of the questions that I ask, you said a systems project manager versus a people project manager. A systems project manager, what they're going to do, even if they know nothing about video and know nothing about marketing, they do know how to make systems. So they're going to come in and they're going to shadow you. And you're going to say, okay, today I'm going to focus on this system, and then I'm going to build this out. And I want you to shadow me all day, or I'm going to record the meetings. I want you to then pull everything out. And they're going to ask you a lot of hard questions. They're going to say, Stella, why did you say this and not this? And Stella, why did you do this? And what does this mean, Stella? And how did you do this? And why did you just do this? That doesn't seem like the logical step. And they're going to pull all that out of you. And you're going to get really, at first, like when I first started going through these processes, I used to be like, man, this is so stupid. I don't want to waste time with this. But what I realized they were doing is they're actually building a real system that somebody can actually come into and understand the whole thing. And that's the magic of a system or an SOP that documents everything. Now, where I would start building systems, and Derek actually knows the answer to this one, it's just you start wherever you're getting the most pressure. So you're bottlenecking on editing, build your first system there. And then from there, where's your next bottleneck? That. Yep. Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love that. But kind of where my next question goes is, yes, you could get in a project manager to, oversee you and go, Stella, what are you doing here? But I think the hardest part, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Gary, is because I don't have that budget to come in and be like, here's a project manager, come over and shadow me. How do I build that system myself? It's very, very hard because it's almost like you have to take a self-audit. You really have to step back and be very self-aware of what you're doing and be like, okay, what is this next logical step? You have to get out of your own mind and essentially build this system. So how do you do this without having a project manager and a management or manager who comes in and builds those systems? And I think this would be a really great question for anyone who's just like me and doesn't have that budget and is in that same position, and our listeners here. How do you do this by yourself?
Derek, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, it's literally as simple as you just do it. I mean, I'm super serious. I'm literally doing it right now. Like I open up a document and ClickUp, and I write everything that's on my mind, and then I read it. I say, this is garbage. This is like 17 steps. I have to make it into 5. I read it a million times. It takes me hours, and I'm not kidding. It literally takes me hours.
I'm really bad at it. Like I'm so bad at it because I oversimplify everything. I oversimplify every step. So it's not something I've ever really got better at. I've just got better at realizing I'm weak at it and asking for help. But yeah, you just have to do it, Stella. Like do it, start it, and then build on it, and then bring in the next person. When you can, bring in somebody to help support you around that.
And one other thing, Stella, you kind of have no choice. At least this is kind of what's helped me a lot of the times. It's either you make this system or your business will suffer from it, right? Yes, you'll suffer. Absolutely. You won't know what to do. So when you're in a position like that as an entrepreneur, you figure it out, just like you figured it out to get here.
Yeah, so I'll present as kind of the other side of it. So I built our agency to over $300,000 a month in recurring revenue with almost no systems. We didn't have any but it was extremely stressful, and everything flowed back to me all the time. I set up, like, it was Gary, figure this out. Gary, do the, and it was so stressful every single day. So if I could go back and do it over again, I would do exactly what you're doing, and I would just do the best that I could with what I have. Now, the other thing that will help you on this is more of a culture thing, is that be really vulnerable with people. Be like, hey guys, I can't hire a project manager because we don't have the money for that yet. I'd rather pay you guys than a project manager. But we need systems. I realize that I'm letting you down as a team by not having these systems that clearly outline this, but this is not my strength. I'm actually like really good at the sales and the going on the podcast, but I'm doing my best, and I would love your guys' honest feedback. Your team will actually help you and provide a lot more clarity around it for you as well, because they actually understand the process too.
I really love that. And I think where my mind goes next is kind of two things. And the kind of two things I want to touch here is the first thing is kind of having patience while you're building here, because, you know, there's so many parts of a business that you just have to tell yourself, stop trying to, this is what I need to tell myself, because I want to, you know, as an entrepreneur, we want to grow as fast as possible. We want to see that exponential curve, and we want to get to that top right now. We don't want to be at that bottom part. And so for me, it's going, Stella, you need to sit down here and do something that no one wants to do, that you don't want to do, but you have to do this thing because that will allow you to scale and that will allow you to get up here. But sometimes where my mind goes is, you know, this is a small part of my business. It's fine. You know, it's fine. Let's just get more clients. Let's just do the fun stuff. Let's just hop on sales calls. Who wants to sit down and write a freaking SOP and read it 100 times and write down all that? No one wants to do that. You got to do the hard stuff that no one wants to do. And I have to keep reminding myself, you got to do the boring stuff. You have to slow down and have that patience. And especially, I'm 17, man. I'm 17. Every single day I have to tell myself, and my family reminds me, it's okay. You don't have to, you know, it's about moving that one pebble. And yep. I want to kind of come back to this. It's kind of that 1% moving that pebble there. And if that's writing one part of the SOP, that's one pebble. And that's enough. And that's what everyone needs to remind themselves as entrepreneurs. If you just move that one pebble, if you just write that one sentence, that one part of the SOP, that's all you need to do. And I think also the other part that comes back, and when you're kind of talking about systems and building these things, and you know, that's really my major pain point at the moment. It's kind of crazy because when I was sitting here thinking, okay, what questions do I want to ask these guys, I was kind of thinking to myself, I know a lot of the answers to these questions because we all do. We all know what we need to do, but we just need either someone to tell us or remind us, or a lot of us just need to sit in a room by ourselves, get out a pen, get out a paper, write down our struggles, and you'll go, oh, Stella, you need to do that thing. You need to do that thing. We know exactly what we need to do. I knew coming on here, I could ask you questions about managers and project management. I already knew that I needed to build these systems. I already knew what I needed to do. It was just like, I needed someone to, it's for the show, obviously, but just, you know, getting those small things as well, like little bits of information and hearing your experience.
It really does help talking it through, though. And
it does a lot.
And talking it through, absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Stella, is like, I didn't know to build systems. I didn't know even I was an entrepreneur when I started. I didn't have YouTube. So you've been downloading information almost subconsciously. You think that you're like, no, it's just intuitive. You're doing the entrepreneur thing. You're like, no, I just sit in the room and do it. No. Like, if I put you on Mars and you never had YouTube, right? And I said, okay, now build an agency, you wouldn't be able to build an agency. So you're intuitively drawing in, but that's because you're an entrepreneur. Like, you are wired to do this. And I just want to call that out. And so, and you're doing a really good job at it too. So you're taking your intuitive ability plus the information that you're downloading, and you're moving in the right direction, and you're solving the right problems. And I think that's huge. I think that's pretty much everything in being an entrepreneur. The other thing is to your pebble point, I think where I struggled for a long time from an anxiety standpoint is I had this whole company, we're making all this money, and I'm just like, all of it's on fire all the time. So I'm just running to fire. I learned to start working through frameworks of restraints and working through the company in order, and just being like very vulnerable with the team. Like, I know that's a mess over there, but we're letting it burn right now. I'm only focused on operations right now because that's our biggest hole. And that's where I'm not worried about sales. Sales is outpacing what operations can bring on. Then we fixed operations, and then we had to go back to sales. And I had to go back and say, we need more sales because operations can actually manage more now. And we went back and forth you always go back and forth all the time.
The slinky.
Oh, sorry.
It's the slinky. It's the slinky. It's back again. The slinky. Yeah. Hey, we got to make a hat with that slinky on it. It's every episode it's coming back up. Stella, you know what we're talking about?
No.
Gary, would you want to explain the slinky?
Go ahead.
I could explain it. Gary always does it way better than I do, but it's my second time trying to explain this. It's very basic. The bottom line of business, it's very simple. Way simpler than people make it out to be. You basically have your departments in your business. Like for you and me, we have sales, marketing, operations, and video editing. That's kind of, for us at least, where it's at. And video editing can kind of be operations. And you'll see that your business will work in cycles where at one point your bottleneck's going to be marketing and you don't have enough leads for sales to close. And then it'll be sales where marketing is giving so many leads, sales is not able to close it. And then it'll be operations. You'll have to focus on operations. Like operations can't handle all the sales that are coming in, and so then you have to fix that, and then it's going to go to the video editing. Like, okay, sales is killing it, marketing's killing it, operations is killing it, but the video editing is lagging behind, and then it's going to repeat in a cycle. I went in that cycle like 6 times now, and that is the slinky.
Yeah, and then it's a retention, and then you start back over to sales again. But here's the trick to understand. Think of your business like the assembly line, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. So what I mean by that is, if your onboarding can only onboard 1 account a month, but sales can sell 5, it doesn't matter that sales can sell 5. It means nothing because you can only onboard 1. So you always work at your restraint. You don't focus on it. It doesn't matter. Sales doesn't matter anymore. Who cares what sales can do or can't do? Who cares about posting on TikTok? Only focus on that 1 account that you can onboard and try to make it to 5 now. Your job is to figure out how to get it to 5, but then you're going to lose a bunch of accounts. That's what's going to happen. You
literally just explained exactly my problem that I'm going through right now. I had to put out a fire in my business, and that was because I was running around and my operations could not handle the clients I was bringing in. I had too many clients coming in and my operations, and so that's where my pain point is right now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on those systems and trying to get that.
And that's where your 100% of your work should be, or like 90%. You need to still do a little bit of account management, but like almost all of your energy should be focused there. Then what's going to happen is, so then you're going to go, oh, I figured it out, crank sales back up, crank marketing back up, but then you're going to lose accounts. So then you're going to go, oh, I don't have a system to retain or keep these people. So then you're going to run over there and you're going to fix that. And then you're going to go, now I'm ready. But then your operations will go, yeah, we can bring on 10 and you're only going to be able to get 5 accounts a month. And so now you have to figure out, now you have to go fix marketing because marketing can't keep up with it. But it never ends. Stella, here's the game. It doesn't ever end. It doesn't matter how big you get, right? Like I'm still playing this game at over $1 million a month in recurring revenue.
Yep.
Wow.
That's what makes it fun.
I think everyone needs to hear that section right there, because, and that really helped me right now. I just had one of those mind-blowing moments. You know when Derek goes like one of those Gary just hit him and he's speechless kind of moments? That's me right now, because this is the game of entrepreneurship. This is the game of entrepreneurship. You run over there, you fix that problem, you run over there, you run over there, you run over there, and it's never ending. It doesn't feel never ending, but what you have to do is, I think, is knowing this right here, knowing that this game, knowing the game of running back and forth makes the game easier, because you know that it's okay if I have to run over there, and instead of trying to being in that zone of running over there and going, this is never ending, oh my god, you're like, I'm in the game, it's okay, it's part of the journey, it's part of the process, and going over there will fix that fire. Cool, awesome. It's just part of growing a business. And knowing that right now makes me feel a lot better, because right now I know that my fire that I'm trying to put out is this operations, because I'm staying up, getting 4 hours of sleep trying to get these clients. But you have to remind yourself that's okay. It's not really a failure, but it's like you have to put out these fires. It's part of the process, and that's okay. So knowing the game makes the game easier.
It does, yeah. And knowing the order that you should work in the game too, because if you're randomly going, so I burnt out. I got stuck at $300,000 for many years, and I basically just got burnt out, and I would just kind of I don't want to do this anymore. Like this isn't fun anymore. And I when I looked back on it, the reason that I didn't want to do it anymore is because there was no light at the end of the tunnel. You always have to have light at the end of the tunnel. And then the game gets funner. The reason the game gets funner is you get better tools, right? So you get better team members, better assets, better skill sets around you. And as you do that, then the game becomes, my game right now is no longer with clients and trying to figure out how to execute the best video editing. My game now is, how do I get 5 or 6 directors to perform at a higher level than they've ever performed at before, so they all hit their bonuses, so that way they feel super confident, and then we can start adding more departments and adding more infrastructure.
I think my question there leads next, and I actually already had this written down. It's perfect segue, is burning out. Because as you kind of mentioned there, and having that light at the tunnel, for me, it was, I definitely had a bit of a cry, having 4 hours of sleep, honestly not crying about anything in specific, but when you get that tired and you're like, oh my God, this is my business, this is my dream, entrepreneurship, you get very involved in the business, you're very inside it, and it's having that, as I kind of said before, like you kind of know your own answers to this question, and it's making sure that you can take your mind out of the business. Although I know what you're going to say, Derek, that's part of being an entrepreneur, Stella. You're never going to get over that because that's part of it, and I know that. But I want to know what is your light at the tunnel, that when you're putting out these fires and you're really in that. And I know that you said you struggled at 300K for per month for a while. What was your light at the tunnel that helped you kind of get through this?
Well, see, so I told myself stories. So entrepreneurs, we tell ourselves stories. That's what makes us entrepreneurs. So Stella, you're telling yourself a story. You can build this agency, and that's really exciting, and that's actually a good story. But we also tell ourselves negative stories, and we say, no one's ever going to be able to come in and help me with this. No one's going to know how to sell accounts like I do. No one's going to be able to video edit like me. It's a lie. It's just a straight up lie. And as we lie to ourselves, we then act out those lies. So again, some of those stories are good, and we act out, I'm going to build an agency, and you did. That's actually a good one that you acted out. But we also act out the negative ones. So you have to take those negative ones and you kind of have to throw them away. And that's, for me, I got to the place where I was like, I'm not going to be able to get people who are going to come in and support me in these departments. It just stinks. Like it's not fun anymore. But then I realized, we can. And I did. And these people can, and they're awesome. And I need to support them in a different way. I was actually the one that was failing, not the team. It wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the systems. I didn't have the culture. Once I figured that out, changed the game. And that's why I tell people really focus on the culture sooner, which this part of entrepreneurship is not as intuitive. You would think that everybody's motivated like you. They're actually not. People just want to follow. Like most people want to follow you and follow the dream and get involved. And if you provide that for them, they will show up and they will be awesome. And then there's the systems. I know everybody always says, I just want to work and just do my thing and just flow. But it doesn't work. Like you need systems and you need structure for them. And so for me, that's what was the light at the end of the tunnel when I was like, okay, I can actually bring in people who are passionate about that position. Like I'm passionate about being an entrepreneur. And when I started getting surrounded by people like that, it was just rocket, right? Like when right now I had to come back into sales for a third time because I built sales, hired somebody, that didn't work out, did it again, didn't work out. Now I'm in it for a third time, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not burning me out. I'm just really excited that, cool, this is now I'm going to see if this actually works, if this rocket ship can actually take off.
So it's really kind of rewriting those narratives that you have in the back of your head, and not only shining a light on those narratives, but also reconstructing those narratives to create that end of the tunnel for yourself. I really like that.
Yep.
Really, really like that.
Yeah, you'll believe whatever lie you tell yourself. So if you say that it's not possible, it's not possible. And if you tell yourself this is totally possible and I can build this culture and I can build this team to do it, you'll do it 100% of the time.
If there's one thing I learned, it's that. I mean, like, genuinely, I wake up sometimes and I think, like, how am I even doing this? Like, even this show, I think about that every time I sit here and Gary joins and we're having a conversation. It's the same thing every time. It's like what you tell yourself you could do, you'll do it. And what you tell yourself you can't do, you won't do it. I mean, it's that simple. It really is that easy.
Yeah, it really is. And I think people overthink that. They get these things in their head and they think it's not that easy, but it really isn't. And it just comes back to the thing of taking action and having that belief. And it really is, that's just the core fundamentals. Yeah. But I really like how you said about those narratives, because I think that has definitely been a little a struggle of mine for sure. Even though my dominant belief is, yes, I'm building this agency, I'm doing this thing, there's always that voice in the back of your head. Everyone, you'll hear this all the time, there's that voice that's like, I can't hire that person. Oh no, I'm always going to be stuck in this business. And for sure, that has been a thought in my head for sure, saying, Stella, these just going to be keep doing these fires. Can you keep doing this? When I was in that putting out that fire and really having a hard time there with my video editor and clients and all that, definitely was a thought of, should I keep doing this agency? Is this going to work? Like, there's that little voice. Obviously I'm never going to, because this is just like, I'm here for it. I'm really here. But there is that voice, and it's being aware of it and going, no, like you need to reconstruct that narrative.
It's also realizing that you're prone to those narratives. So a lot of people aren't entrepreneurs, and so they have the idea of starting a business, but they never carry it out because they're not that way. You are prone to carry out your thoughts. You need to understand that. If I think I can do something, I can carry it out. I've done it over and over again. But that's true on the negative side as well. The other thing is, your business is an entity, and overall you love your business, but there's segments of your business that you hate. Like for me, HR, like I don't want to do HR. I've never wanted to touch it. And for a long time, I just ignored it, and that was bad. But then when I found somebody who's actually good at it and built a team with it, it's actually really cool to have that and see somebody who's passionate about HR the way I'm passionate about the overall business. So you got to realize where I think this goes back to being vulnerable. One of the hardest things for me to learn as a business owner, and I was much older than you guys when I figured this out, I can't fake that I know everything. I have to actually come in and say, guys, here's what I'm good at. Here's what I stink at. And then what happens is the help comes around where you stink, but you got to verbalize it. If you're faking it until you make it, no one's going to show up to help you because you're like, I got it.
Yep, that's exactly right. No, I had to I learned it the hard way a couple times, and I'll be honest, especially going through school and stuff like that, I was always the person who was like, I know it all and I'm going to do it all. And then when I started this company, I realized if that's how I'm going to be, no one's going to want to work with me. They're not going to want to do business with me. My team's not going to grow. And if I'm so centered on like, I'm going to do it, no one else is going to do it. Basically, Gary gave me this framework, this mindset, but you have to let your team fail, right? So instead of stepping in there when they're failing, you have to let them fail and then look at why they failed, explain to them how they could have done it differently so that they don't fail, and then give them another shot and then another shot, and then just keep letting them fail. And the whole point is, if you have a successful team member, they'll be failing upwards, right? So they'll keep trying, they'll keep innovating, they're going to get better and better, and they're going to keep failing. Now look, I gotta say, Stella, I'm very blown away, because this has been an absolutely amazing like, you are incredible, really incredible. And when I retire from the podcasting, you're definitely coming in, because
you're 19 years old. What are you talking about retirement?
Hey, next week. No, I'm kidding. No, but in all seriousness, you've been absolutely crushing it, and I definitely think you should start your own podcast, because you are incredible. Genuinely.
I think next week, Derek, if you're good with it, I think you two should do a podcast and like drill in more on some of these topics. Like I think that would be really helpful for the audience.
Stella, I will reach out, because we're having another shoot in the second week, and so I'll shoot you a message on Instagram. We'll get a special edition episode part 2 in there. I'm sure the audience guys, if you guys want to see Stella come back on here for a part 2, definitely go right now. If you're watching on YouTube,
don't like
the video.
Stella, thumbs up the video. But if you like Stella, then leave a comment.
Even better. And guys, if you're listening on Spotify now, podcast, and this podcast provided you value, definitely leave a review. But I think the last question that I want to ask you here, Stella, as we kind of wrap things up. Why why entrepreneurship, and what's your light at the end of the tunnel? What's your vision? You're super young, you're pretty far ahead, you're way further ahead than I was, when at your age, in the 2-year difference, right? What's your vision? Is it a 8-9 figure exit? Is it to build and hold the same company till the day you die? Like, what's your vision and goal?
It's a really, really great question. I think my vision and my goal is just to, I always feel like I was meant to do something. I don't think it's money, although I think obviously that financial freedom is definitely that vision there, and being able to travel and explore the world. But I think, I kind of envision myself, and I see myself, okay, if I'm already doing that stuff, I'm traveling the world, fine. I don't think I'm still going to be fulfilled. So I really think it's not the money, although financial freedom is definitely the goal, and that's kind of the side thing. It's the bonus. I really think it's making an impact. I really think it's actually, having these beautiful conversations. I don't want, if you gave me, actually, I was going to say, if you gave me $10 million all this conversation, I probably would take $10 million. But but if I already had $10 million and I was already had that and that was just normal for me, I would way rather have this conversation right now. I would way rather be having an impact and giving value to the world that is not monetary. That is really what I think. And I think, you know, I want to build out a podcast and create content. You know, I love creating YouTube videos and it's really having these beautiful conversations and creating projects and ideas and telling stories. That is really what I love and what I enjoy. And I think that's my vision. And just meeting crazy cool people. Obviously, you know, as I said, financial freedom, but I really think that is going to make me feel fulfilled, and that is what essentially is going to make me happy. And I've kind of been through this thing in my head of, you know, what makes you happy, and you go through that happiness journey of money. I feel like I've already visualized myself with that amount of money, with financial freedom, and I still don't think I'm happy. So right now I kind of live and I'm like, okay, it's not the money, it's having cool conversations, it's making an impact, it's just enjoying that present moment, because now is the destination, not the end. You know what I mean? And that's kind of living that.
I was like in my 30s when I figured that out, so good job.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, and that's a really great note to end on. You're going to do really big things. Fantastic. And I'm going to be really excited to watch you do that. Okay, yeah, honestly, like I'm blown away. But listen, I got to tell you, the last thing I want to share for you, really tactically to really help you, you are not just an incredible storyteller, you're incredible at making stories. And there's a very big difference there. And I really, really believe, I feel really good about this, that if you run with your ability to make stories, you're going to absolutely crush it. And Gary helped me do this in my company, and I want to help you do the same for yours. When he told me that what we're doing is not video editing, but we tell stories, that changed everything, and my business like 4x'd in 30 days, right? I want to help you do the same, and I really see you as somebody who can make stories very well. You can help people, you know, like me, like Gary, make those stories, and that's really exciting.
Absolutely. And when you told me that the other day, like, Stella, you create those stories, I had this massive moment where I was like, that's so true. I love telling stories. I love making people feel a certain way and you know, getting them to do something or feel something. That is what I really enjoy. And that's essentially my vision, right? That kind of connected through there.
Yep.
And I think that changed everything. Even I've made a few changes in my business so far since you told me that, and yeah, I really appreciate that, Derek, and
you're going to crush it. You're going to crush it. You can do big things. With that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this special edition of the 8-Figure Agency Show. I got to mention, guys, I don't know if you guys are following us on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. If you're not, check it out. We're starting to, you know, little by little blow up. We have videos that are starting to get, you know, tens of thousands of views on there. We're growing steadily day by day. Super excited for that. Guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see Stella back on for a second episode, a special edition, definitely like the video. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, drop us a review. Gary?
If you don't respond, then you don't like Stella, so I don't.
With that said, guys, thank you so much. We love all of you, and we hope this provided you value. Till next week. See you guys later.